Right, you're welcome to this lectures, and we are basically going to be looking at the Excel functions and formulas. Now, as the name implies, formulas, as we can say, involves using values, combination of values, and the kind of operators to get results. All right, for example, adding two numbers or adding three different numbers, and then or maybe subtracting a value from a value, or finding the modulus, or getting a dividing a number by another number. All right. So, and then functions in Excel is kind of using some pre-built, we call it pre-built formulas. All right. We are basically going to be looking at that. Because when it comes to the use of formulas and use of functions, Excel allows us to carry out some basic mathematical calculations. And when we are working with data, for example, if you are giving a data sheet, and then maybe let's take, for example, that you are asked to sum the total, or let's say, for example, we have this particular store, and then we have the unit price, right? The number of units of a purchase of this item, television 25, and the unit price is this, right? Multiplying this using this by this, you can see this is a formula. All right, formula multiplying the cell F2 by cell G2, right? And we are going to be getting the results inside this place here. Okay. Now, when you are working with Excel, you come across different formulas and then different functions. Now, when you see me mention functions and talk about calculation and formula, there are two different things, in the sense that Excel has these pre-built functions. We call them functions. And then where you can just type sum, SUM, capital letter SUM, or maybe small letter, open a bracket, then we input some parameters. All right. So developers has built in, using programming language, to come up with these keywords like the average, the sum, the count average, and a whole lot of them, which we are going to be looking at. But when it comes to formula, you have to type in a formula you want to use. So you choose to define your own formula. But for functions, it has already been defined for you. All you have to do is to call the function by using certain like SUM, as we said, AVERAGE, right? So this is how you can call the function. So this code has been written by developers of Microsoft Excel. Now, as we begin to work on some projects, you get to understand better what I'm talking about. For example, we have this data here. Let me first bold this. This is the heading. And then we have the trainers here. These are the names of the trainers. Then we have for poke ball, for great ball, for ultra ball. Right, this is a dummy data which I created. Now, let's say we want to calculate, all right, the total number of this, let's say 257. All right, let's see how to sum that. So for you to do that, 2510. Okay. Also, these are the number of poke balls here. 2 for Ebuka, 5 for Ibrahim, 10. Now, to sum these values, you can use the formula. We are going to use the formula method, and you start the formula by using equal sign. Now you can either type it here or use this formula bar as I showed before here. Now, once you press the equal sign, you select the cells you want to add, and then include the basic operators such as a sum, because you're looking at the summation of these numbers. So you click on the cell B2 here, right? This is cell B2. Then use your plus sign, cell B3, use your plus sign, and then we have cell B4. Now, when you are done, hit enter. And right here, you can see the summation of these three values here. All right. Now, you may think that you'd have to keep on doing the same here, maybe doing the whole sum here, doing the whole sum here. But that's not how Excel works. So you can quickly highlight on here. I'm going to zoom this so you see what I'm doing. Let me zoom this in. All right, so if you take the mouse closer to here and click and drag it to the end, you'll notice what happens. Excel automatically fills out the same data here. So if you double click here, what Excel did was that it moved the same mathematical formula here to the next row column here, then move to the next column here, right? So automatically it summed it. So if you have a very large data set, you can use that. by dragging here to dropping here, and then it sums everything. So it's very, this is smart of Microsoft Excel. Very, very smart. Okay. And the same thing applies to, let's say we want to sum each of the values to this. So you just type equal sign, then summation of this, drag this, add this, add this, add this, and then you drag it down. Okay, and then you get those values fill out here. So that is for addition, right? We also have for subtraction. Okay, subtracting, let's say subtracting 5 and 2. You can try that here. Equal sign, let's say 5, then minus 2. Please, these are all on your keyboard. When you look at your keyboard, you will see those operators. We have here the percent sign, that is shift your 5 on your keyboard. You are going to see that. Okay, for the multiplication is usually asterisk, which is on the 8th key 8 there. When you look at the numeric keys 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 0, above that you can see the ampersand, you can see parentheses, all of them are the addition sign. We have plus, we have forwards, forward sign, forward slash, we have greater than. Okay, so this helps you to write formulas when you are working with Excel. Now I would like you to play around the data. Okay, generate your data and then begin to play around it. Use a sum, use a divide, division, right? Division is equal to, please, you always start your formula with equal sign. So let's say this divided by this, right? We have your value here, 10 divided by this. And one thing we love about Excel is that once you update a particular cell here, let's say we are updating this to, let's say 6. So you notice what happened. So it sums here 6 plus 2, 8 plus 10. We get the value of 18, right? We get the value of 18. And also, this also changed, right? 6 minus 2 will give us 4. All right. So that is it on the formulas, right? Then we also have what is called function. Now let's delete this out. Let's delete that. Okay. We want to use a function. As we said, functions are pre-built formulas. They've been built already, and then we can use some keywords to access them. So let's say we want to add to sum this value. So just type equal sign SUM. Please, you must start your functions and your formulas with equal sign. This allows Excel to know that you want to carry out an operation on that particular cell. Now open a bracket. It says number 1, number 2, ... So we have here, if you want to sum here, what you just click and drag to the last value here, and then close your brackets, hit enter sign. So we have our 18 here. Now click and drag across, we have the same thing. All right. Now for average, let's say we want to find the average for these persons. Let's say average. So we want to find the average. Now for here, just use your equal sign. And average is like saying 2 plus 3 plus 1 divided by 1, 2, 3. So we can do that. Open a parenthesis. This plus this plus this. Personally, I don't like using all these formulas. It's cumbersome. All right. And then we now divide by how many values here? 1, 2, 3. All right. Then you type 3 here and hit enter. So we now have average to be 2. Okay. But let's say we are using the function equal to, let's say, average. We have here. So just click there and then select all this, hit enter. So we have to, you don't need to start clicking here plus this, then now divide by 3. So you can have your average. No. Now, another way for you to get your average is that you can actually combine both formulas and then functions together. For example, let's say we want to get, there's what we call the count function. For example, if you find the count of this 1, 2, 3, you are going to get 3. For example, let's just say count of all these, close your bracket. So we have a value to be 3. All right, so let's now combine the two. So let's say we want to get the average of this. So what you have to do is use your, all right, we are going to do this. So what you're basically doing is that we are using this. This is going to be a formula, and then the denominator is going to be a function. All right. I hope you understand what I'm doing. Top here is a formula, and then here is a function. So what we are going to do is that we are going to sum these three and then divide by the count of this. So we just do this plus this plus this. Okay, so we have here this value, then hit your enter. So we still have 2. So what we did was that we used a formula up here, and then we divided by the count instead of us to type 3. So we use a count of the whole value, right? So it's very necessary. Let's say we have many numbers here that you cannot just count. You have to use a count, and then you select the whole rows, or if it's 0 or if it's a column, select everything, drag it to the end so you can get that. Right, but if not, if you don't want to use, the best way to use is just to use the average. So all those functions are pre-built formulas that reduces a whole lot of stress and makes your work easier and faster. Now let's clear this out. All right, so that is basically written. Now, for you to access other formulas and functions, Excel provides us with financial functions here, right? If you're working with financial data, we have for logical here, all right? Basically, there are many things that we are going to be looking at when we are working with data. For example, the AND function, we have the AND, it checks whether all arguments are true. So if they are not true, these are all logical functions. And if you are coming from the programming aspect, you know what AND means. So if they are true, it returns true. So it's a must that those 2 arguments must be true. So if and only if this is 2 and then this is 3, produce what? A value of either 5 or 7. If not, if this is false and the one is true, then it is false. Then we also have mathematical and trigonometry, the cos, cosine, the sine, the logarithm of values, the sum if, right? There are a whole lot of functions here, and we are not going to be looking at that. Okay, when we come to building some projects, you'll be exposed to some of these functions. And then we have some engineering functions here. We have statistical functions. We have average if, we have correlation. Like Excel has a whole lot of functions here. So you can't just possibly wake up one morning and then you start to use formulas to type all these, writing all those signs, pi, divided by this thing. So developers has built in these functions to help us carry out those calculations on our spreadsheets. We also have for text here, right? Finding the length, converting to lower, then replacing, concatenation. All these will come. We are going to be looking at all these things here. Then we also have the insert functions here. Now it's going to pop up a function. If you want to insert a particular function in a cell, you have to, put in this, click on that to insert. So let's say, for example, you want to insert a function right here. Now just go there and click on insert function. Now you select the functions you are looking at. Is here as we have let's say we are looking at financial, or we are just looking at let's say math and trigonometry. Let's say we are looking for, let's just go to all. We have the absolute value, a negative sign, converting every negative to default for positive. And we have count, average, and in fact, the PDF, there will be a document I'll send for you so you can see the different functions and how you can use that in Microsoft Excel. So if you want to go deeper and start looking at all these things, it's going to really take time, right? So I really appreciate your time, and we are going to be going to our next lectures to look at some of the important things to cover in this lecture. So thank you so much for joining me once again. I wish to see you next time.